These 4 apps make a combined $200,000 per month, and the founder bootstrapped them all from zero. Now you'd think that apps generating this kind of money would be incredibly complex, but you'd actually be wrong, because I cloned all 4 of them using AI in under an hour without writing a single line of code. And I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. Now before we start building, let me break down what we are cloning and why they work. And this part is super important because we need to understand why an app makes money before we even build it. Because remember, an app doesn't always make money because of how beautiful it is. It makes money depending on how useful it is for its users. Okay, so the first app is Curator, which lets you display social media content on your website for free. And what makes it valuable is not just the feature, it's the execution. The generous free tier, the affordable paid options, the huge list of supported networks, and the high quality templates. And honestly, I think the top tier landing page design and the seamless onboarding flow play a massive role in why people choose this over the competitors. Those are the features that we will recreate. Now the second app is Frill, that lets companies collect and organize customer feedback from their sites or third-party sources. And the standout here is the UI. It's gorgeous. I can set up the entire widget in under 10 minutes. And that ease of use is what we are going to focus on. But we'll also add a few additional features so that we can have a competitive edge. The third app is very simple. It's called Juno, and it lets you manage what's displayed on screens that you control, all from one beautifully designed dashboard. We will recreate a sleek UI, the ease of use, and the ability to connect to any screen from just one dashboard. And the last app that we will clone in this video is Fluke, which is basically a way to add widgets to any website in minutes. It generates the code and gives you crystal clear directions, which is perfect for anyone who wants widgets, pop-ups, and sliders without a developer on staff. And once again, we'll replicate the polished UI and its core functionality. Now let me give you a quick overview of the tools that you'll need to make these apps come to life. First, use Braindumper to generate the detailed prompts that we need, and Base44, which is now powered by Opus 4.6, to build and publish each of the apps. And the reason why we're using Braindumper is because the prompts are literally everything. A vague prompt gives you vague results. Detailed, well-structured prompt gets you something that looks like a professional team has built it. We will start by using Braindumper to create a detailed prompt from a simple app idea, just like I'm doing right here, because now we just need to wait for a bit for the AI to generate everything that Base44 and Opus 4.6 will need for a solid first version. Okay, now after a few minutes, this is the detailed prompt that we get. Now let's add it into Base44 and start generating the app. Here's the principle that I want you to remember. Always work in parallel when building with AI. Since the Curator app generation will take a while, let's also start the other 3 builds simultaneously. So for the frill.co clone, we'll just make the prompt on Braindumper as well, and then open a new Base44 tab. And then we'll also modify the prompt to include an onboarding process and a minimalist dashboard with a sidebar. Now after that, just hit generate and move on to the next app, as Opus 4.6 is working in the background. So now for the Juno clone, we will just use the same features as above, but we will also add a settings page with a tabbed component. So tabs for profile, company, workspaces, teams, billing, and integrations. Now after the prompt is generated, we enter this into a new Base44 tab again. And now for the Fluke clone, we'll do the same core features as Frill, but we'll also add a playlist section with placeholder videos and a player that users can choose from. As with the others, we copy the prompt and enter it into a new Base44 tab. And now Base44 and Opus 4.6 are building all of the 4 apps simultaneously. Okay, so let's go back to the first app and see how far we have got. Okay, wow, just look at this. Just from that one prompt, we got a well-developed website in minutes, and it's a really decent first draft. We need to add a few more features to create an MVP that users will actually pay for. And here's the thing. The difference between a free tool that people ignore and a paid tool that people love is the detail. It's things like the UI, the onboarding, and just the polish. And that's exactly what we are going to work on next. Okay, so the first thing I want to improve is now the UI. So to do this, I'm going to use Base44's killer feature. So now let's ask Base44 to redesign the homepage using the screenshots of the original app, just like I am doing here. And this is also a technique that I want you to remember. Most of the time, words aren't enough for the UI design. So always use screenshots so that Base44 can understand your instructions better. And because Opus 4.6 has dramatically improved the image understanding, the design output from screenshots is significantly better from what you get from older models. So instead of sitting here waiting for Base44 to finish, let's now jump over to our second app and see what it has created. Okay, so this is what we are working with. It's pretty good. Since the first impressions make or break an app, like I said, we also need to refine this UI before we release it. Now, before touching the UI, let's tackle all of the hard stuff first, so the authentication and the pricing. And these are the features that most developers will tell you takes real skill to pull off correctly. Now let's see how Base44 handles them. Okay, so I'm asking the AI to build an auth feature that allows users to log into a dashboard before interacting with the app's core features. And there should also be an onboarding flow for new users to set up a company profile. Finally, a pricing page showing 3 tiers that authenticated users can purchase through Stripe. I'm being intentionally vague with this prompt because I just want to show you that Base44 and Opus 4.6 are advanced enough to make complex design and coding decisions while keeping the general context intact. intact. Okay, so now we'll just hit this generate button and wait as it does its thing. Okay, so after a few minutes, this is what we get. As you can see, Base 44 has taken our prompts and created advanced features in minutes. It's absolutely remarkable that we can start building out one of Frill's main features just a few minutes after getting started. Oh, and by the way, I've written out this entire tutorial as a step-by-step guide on my blog if you think that I'm moving too fast. The link is in the description if you want to check it out. Okay, so right now the landing page and dashboard needs some work, but for now let's build out Frill's signature feature. So Frill has this incredibly useful system where users can submit an idea and invited team members can then comment and vote on it. So now to do this, I will enter in this prompt plus a complementing image for the design inspiration and then just wait. Okay, so now just in a few minutes, this is what we get. And do you see that Base 44 just needed two things: clear directions in the form of a well-designed prompt and complementary design images. And this is how we'll build out all of the remaining features and apps until we have an MVP that we are comfortable in publishing. Now I also noticed that there's a panel that categorizes all of the submitted ideas. So let's just take a screenshot of that panel and ask Base 44 to match ours to it. Okay, so I'll hit generate and move on to the next step. Just always keep the momentum going here. Okay, so Juno has a standout feature that requires seriously advanced coding skills to pull off. So there is a feature that allows users to create a workspace and choose the screens for that space and also choose team members who can access and control it. And the image feature has proven to be quite useful. So let's also add a screenshot of the page to help in the design. And this is complex logic that needs to work across multiple devices seamlessly. So I will enter in a detailed prompt explaining this feature just to see how well Base 44 handles instructions that needs complex logic spread across several pages in our app. The UI design will come later because by now you've already seen how we go about it. So Base 44 will probably need some time to implement this feature. So while it's working, let's jump over to the fourth app. Okay, so we still need to build the auth and dashboard for this one, just like the other apps. But actually, let's focus on a feature unique to Fluke. So Fluke has this cool onboarding system where clicking a link takes you through a full company profile setup. Now let's ask Base 44 to build out this feature by giving the most detailed prompt possible. I used Braindumper for this, by the way, just to make sure that nothing was missed. And the best results come from the most detailed prompts. Okay, so after waiting for a bit, Base 44 amazingly creates something that closely mirrors to the original. Now Fluke also has this feature where you can suggest features to the site owner, and it's activated by a button in the navbar. Let's have Base 44 design a similar feature and see how well it makes decisions on the fly. Okay, after a few more minutes, this is what we get. Okay, so it not only designed the whole feature with a prompt, but it also took the design decisions without asking me. It even added some features that I hadn't explicitly asked for, just like the upvote feature. That's very cool. Okay, now we need a way to make our Fluke clone generate actual income. So let's borrow a page from their model and have Base 44 create a lifetime deal package. And we'll add some complexity. Only the first 250 signups gets the deal, and we'll accept payments both through Stripe and crypto. So after a few minutes of it working, let's see the result. There it is, clean, functional, and ready to make money. If you need any help or want any feedback on your builds, you can join our free Discord community where you can connect with other builders. Link is in the description as well. Okay, now in this section, we will go through each of our apps and add all of the remaining features we need to complete the MVP. I'll run through this section because by now, you've already learned how to use Base 44 to create multiple apps at the same time. Now we will add the following features to make our app closer in appearance and function to curator. A blog feature where blogs can be added to the backend, CSS animations, transitions, and lazy load images to make the landing page more polished, and a booked demo feature where unauthenticated users can set up a meeting with the site admins for a customized explanation of the features. Okay, now after several moments, this is the redesigned version. This looks good. Now for the Frill app, I will ask Base 44 to redesign the homepage to make it similar in appearance to Frill. I'm also asking it to add animations and transitions for the extra wow factor, and I will also use Base 44's live URL feature as inspiration instead of using images to see how well it works. And we'll also add a blog feature to show competitor comparisons and create a survey creation section where the logged in user can create and send surveys using a live link. And again, we will just use an image for Base 44 to use as design inspiration. Now this is what we get after waiting for a few minutes. Okay, now it's time for the Juno clone. Let's have Base 44 also redesign our homepage and the dashboard to look more like the original app. And let's also make a pricing section based around usage limits. The more screens supported, the higher the cost, as opposed to limiting certain features. I will also create a white label feature that will let paid users use our app to create a similar app under their own custom branding. And white label is actually one of the best yet most hidden way of making money from your app. Okay, now this is the final version of Screen Sync that I intend to upload. Of course, I could spend more time tweaking it, but I feel like this is good enough as an MVP. Okay, now for Fluke, I think that the UI design is quite good, but let's ask Base 44 to change the branding and color scheme to make it look more similar to the original app as well. After all, we are creating a competing product. Fluke also has a feature where you can invite team members to review and edit the tooltips, and this is what we get now after prompting. Perfect, this is nice. And at this this point, you've gotten the idea on how you can leverage Base44 with Opus 4.6 to create a portfolio of profitable apps in the shortest time possible, and all without writing a single line of code. Now we could spend the next hour just tweaking the apps, but let's proceed to the next important step. Okay, so at this point, all of the hard work is done. But here's the critical part that most people skip. And it's the part that determines whether your app keeps getting users or losing them within days. Users of any app will click away the first time that it breaks. So to avoid massive churn, where people create and delete accounts almost immediately, take the time to make sure that everything works. Check 1, the complete security audit. Okay, so when people start using these apps, they'll be entering personal, financial, and business information. And we have to give them peace of mind knowing that their data is safe. But the question is, how do we do that? Now we could hire a freelance cybersecurity expert for a thorough audit. We could hire a UX professional to check every single flow. Or instead, we can just use Base44's feature that does all of the expert analysis for us. So let's tell it to run a detailed security audit and provide a full breakdown of every error found, plus clear instructions on how to fix them. And what comes back is something I genuinely was not expecting. So this security audit was generated in a fraction of the time, and it's basically as detailed as something I'd expect from a highly paid security professional. It's remarkable. The reasoning didn't just find vulnerabilities, it explains them in context and suggests the exact fix. And as you probably noticed, I haven't even hit the usage limits yet, even with 4 concurrent projects running. Okay, so now you have 2 options. The first one is to go through each recommendation and ask Base44 to implement the fixes one by one, or we can ask it to handle everything in one go. And of course, this is the option that I will go for. Okay, so now after a few moments, the security issues are fixed by installing and configuring the third-party libraries that are required. So remember, nothing will bleed users faster than security vulnerabilities. We don't want all of our hard work going down the drain just to save a few minutes. The end result is worth it, I promise. Check 2, detailed performance audit. Okay, so the next thing we need to fix is the performance. Because I tested the original apps across multiple browsers, and they are all incredibly fast. Not a single one of them freezes or is slow. So we need our apps to match that speed if we want any chance of competing with the original apps. So just like the security check, I'll instruct Base44 to run a thorough performance audit and generate a report with prompts to implement each suggested fix. Now after a few minutes, we have a detailed report clearly showing where improvements can be done. And while this is not as urgent as the security audit, I'd strongly advise implementing all of these suggestions. We want our first users to have the best possible experience, so they are motivated to become a paid member. And this is also where you could be earning your first positive reviews. So really take your time here. And since the process is identical for all of the 4 apps, let me just run through all of the remaining 3 as well. Okay, so once all of the checks are done, we'll move on to the final step, deployment. Okay, so the publishing process is the easy part. It's the same for all of the apps, so let me just walk through it once. When you feel that your app is ready, all you have to do is just to click this publish button right here. Then this dialog box appears, letting you configure the URL. Then click on the manage button, and this will take you to a page where you can connect a custom domain or just edit the built-in one. So let's change our domain to something more suitable for the app. I'll just use this, but you can pick whatever you want. Now after the change is saved, click on publish app. And a few seconds later, the app is now live at this URL. So let me just open this in a new tab to show you. And there it is. Our app is now live on the internet. And anyone can visit this URL and start using the app right now. And here's a speedrun of me publishing the rest of the apps using the same process outlined above. Marketing. Okay, now that we have built out those 4 apps and published them to the internet, it's time for the most important part that basically no one ever talks about, which is the marketing. Because trust me, 90% of the reason why your app will succeed depends on the marketing. So I will lay down the entire marketing strategy that I recommend you to do in this specific case. In this video, we didn't just build 4 random apps. We cloned 4 apps by a founder who has already figured out exactly what distribution strategies work. So before we invent our own playbook from scratch, let's see what the original creator is actually doing. So the founder's entire growth philosophy can be compressed into one sentence that he has said in multiple interviews. Write content from the day you start a business, because SEO compounds and pays back for 10 or 20 years. That sounds very boring when you first hear it, and that's exactly why most people ignore it and go straight to paid ads or social media posting. But the boring strategy is the one that built 4 apps to a combined $200,000 per month. So let's understand why it works before we talk about how to execute it better. So the specific content that he prioritizes falls under 2 categories that are wildly underused by micro SaaS founders. The first is alternative 2 pages, which are basically dedicated landing pages that target search queries like best canny alternative or intercom alternative for small businesses. And these are extraordinary high intent searches. Someone searching canny alternative is an active buyer, not just a casual browser. And that's the warmest organic lead that you you can get. And it costs nothing but writing time. Frill has an entire section of alternative to pages and competitor comparison. These pages still drive meaningful inbound traffic even years after publication. And for comparison pages, you just have to be honest. Acknowledge your limitations while highlighting where you genuinely win. Because straightforward honesty increases the conversion because it signals that you won't be overselling. So the advantage that we have, the original founders wrote this content manually over weeks or hired any writers, but we can generate a full library of SEO landing pages, alternative to pages, and comparison articles for all 4 of our apps in just a single day using Claude. Lifetime deals as seed funding. A lifetime deal isn't just a promo, it's basically a funding mechanism that simultaneously recruits your most invested early users. So you can basically run a private round first, just find communities where your customers already live, and offer permanent access for a one-time offer. As you can see with Frill, they raised $30,000 this way before listing on AppSumo. And more valuable than the money, you get paying users who actually use the product, report bugs, and give real user feedback. Then you can run a public AppSumo campaign to reach their database of hundreds of thousands of early stage software buyers. And now you can use something like Postdog for behavior analytics inside the apps, so that you can track exactly where the users drop off in the onboarding, which features actually drive the retention, and what actions that correlate with paid conversion. You should also set up Google Search Console from day one to monitor which search queries are sending traffic to your content pages and which pieces are gaining traction the fastest. This way you can prioritize more content in those same topic clusters. And there you have it. In under an hour, we created 4 high quality SaaS apps that have the potential to generate 6-figure income from day one, and with the entire marketing strategy laid out to get paid users from day one. Now if you want to see more, here's a video I recently made about exactly how to copy an app generating over $10,000 per month. Thank you for watching, and as always, happy building.